Okay, it looks like we're going to break here at GRPC. We are coming up live here, back on the and bring down the room. Yeah, we're coming back on the air here, and first up, getting some technical issues taken care of here. First up, we got Kevin Michalowski. He's stepped up to talk to us here. I'm going to adjust the camera here. You may get some. We're trying to get a video set up here, but Kevin is the president. Is that correct?
No, I am the executive editor.
Oh, yeah.
Got me there?
Okay, go ahead again.
I'm the executive editor of Concealed Carry Magazine with the United States Concealed Carry Association.
There we go. Okay. And USCCA is one of the presenting sponsors here at the Gun Rights Policy Conference. He agreed last night. We met you at the reception, and he agreed to step up and talk to us this morning. Kevin, tell us a little about USCCA and what you folks do.
Well, first of all, USCCA is the oldest and largest of the firearms insurance companies that are out there now. We provide education, training, and insurance for responsibly armed Americans. Basically, I see my job as twofold. I want to keep people alive and keep them out of jail. And that's what the USCCA does. So if you're involved in a deadly force incident, the USCCA will provide you with an attorney, a retainer for that attorney, and pay up to $1.1 million in attorney's fees to make sure that you get a fair trial and don't end up in jail just for protecting yourself.
Very, very cool. So Concealed Carry Magazine. What is that? I'm guessing that's something you get for being a member of USCCA?
It's part of the member benefits package, and you can subscribe just on your own. You don't have to be a full-fledged member of USCCA to read Concealed Carry Magazine. But we publish 8 times a year, 120 pages of everything that you want to know about self-defense with a firearm and the legal and financial aspects of defending yourself with a firearm. I like to tell people that we are not just your dad's gun magazine. We talk about everything from, we've had stories about women with postpartum depression and their firearms and what they want to do with it and how you can more effectively carry your gun. And the big question everybody asks me, and they ask in every edition, when is it okay? When is it legal for me to shoot someone? And we try to answer that question. And when Tim Schmidt hired me, I told him that I will answer every question that anybody has about concealed carry. And when I answer every single question, then I'll quit and I'll move on. So I think I got a job for a long time.
You got a job for life, man. Very much for life.
You started as an editor, and USCCA, the projects it's taken on have changed. So at one point you were worried about, let's see, what interesting thing in the news can I talk about next week? And now you're going, gosh, we've got training, we've got education, we've got instructor development. We have, oh, look what this odd bit of so your old job, all your new jobs. What are you going to be doing next week, Kevin?
Our growth has been phenomenal, and I could not be in a better position. I'm having the time of my life. This is exactly what I wanted to do when I started in this business 20 years ago. We are putting the finishing touches on a 10,000 square foot TV studio right in my hometown where I live. So we will be producing even more and more videos. We do the weekly Into the Fray video blog that we're posting up, a 2-minute video blog every Friday. We do that. That will expand. We have now Clear Impact. We're doing ammunition tests, shooting into gel. We'll be, I want to do something about cover and concealment so that we can show people exactly how their firearms work and how their ammunition works against other barriers.
So in other words, I understand the ulterior motives. You want to do the weekly fashion show. You didn't like having to let Mark Walters MC that event. Now you want to do it every week.
Absolutely. And
I understand.
The Concealed Carry Expo is growing exponentially. We started in West Bend because we wanted to do it close to home, and we sold out. It's always nice to have a sellout. We had 5,000 people come through the door. We couldn't fit any more people in there on the first day. So we've rescheduled that for the end of April in Atlanta, Georgia, and it's coming together amazingly well. We have twice the booth space, and it's filling up very quickly, and we will have all sorts of great guest speakers and training opportunities at there as well.
You have a huge job under that organization, in the sense that I won't say putting out a magazine is easy. It's not. Lots of people fail doing it. But imagine all the things that a national organization does The only thing you don't have, I don't think yet, are local chapters.
No, and
except for instructor development.
Yeah, we have instructors all over the country, in all
Right.
50 states, in Puerto Rico, in Guam. We have USCCA certified instructors all over the place, and that continues to grow. We're doing another instructor development course, a USCCA certification course, October 16th. It's already sold out. We can't do them fast enough for the people who want to join USCCA, because we are very narrowly focused on self-defense and self-defense rights and responsibilities. Where all the other gun organizations seem to be umbrella groups, we're talking about what it's like to defend yourself and what it means to defend yourself. And this is how you do it legally. This is how you do it responsibly. And we're there to back you up when you do it, because it is amazing, just coming from the other portions of the gun industry to the USCCA, it is amazing to see what happens when somebody uses a gun in self-defense. It's a legal meat grinder, and I don't ever want to be involved in it.
Makes real the statement that it is at best the worst day in your life.
Yeah, and I tell people that all the time. The worst 5 seconds of your life, we're there for you, and it's going to last 3 or 4 months after that, maybe more, maybe up to a couple of years. In the state of Wisconsin, people have up to 4 years to file a civil suit after the event is over.
Right.
So that all of that worry, all of that problem that comes with defending yourself can last for quite a long time, and that's what we're there to mitigate. We're trying to make that better for the people who want to protect themselves.
Let me ask you a question, Kevin. Suppose somebody wants to join USCCA, but they don't want the insurance aspect of it. Is that still possible?
Yeah, you can get a subscription to the magazine. Just call up and say, I want is a magazine. Send me the magazine 8 times a year. It will show up on your doorstep. If there are still some people who want the magazine in a plain brown wrapper, they don't want people to know they get it, just ask us. We'll do that as well. We'll make sure that we handle what we're supposed to be doing, and it's written on the wall in our building, is provide unprecedented customer service. So our customer service team is top notch. You call them up and tell them what you want, and they will make it happen.
That's very good. And I will say that years ago, I did belong.
Mm-hmm.
It was mostly for the magazine, and along the way somewhere I dropped it, and I'm going to have to look into getting it again.
Well, I started up in 2012, in October of 2012, and with the January 2013 edition of Concealed Carry Magazine, I don't know if everyone here is familiar with it. We completely changed the format. We expanded it from a 68-page, basically it was an association newsletter, and we made it into what I call a real firearms magazine. This is the information aspect of what the USCCA does, and it's the flagship product that we put out. So one of the things, I also work as a law enforcement officer in the evenings, and I want to make sure that all the information that we're giving to everyone is correct, because we're not just playing games anymore. This is life and death, and this is life in prison, and this is, it has to be perfect. It has to be correct. So we've hired the best writers that we could find, and we bring them in and make sure that they're doing everything properly. And we have people, I hired a couple of other cops to work on the magazine with me to make sure that we're fact checking everything that goes out there. And we got that cop attitude of like, wait a minute, I'm raising the red flag on this one. We want to take a quick look and make sure we got this right before it goes out. So those are the things that Concealed Carry Magazine has really blossomed into.
So as I understand it, you're both the editor of the magazine and a full-time law enforcement officer?
No, I work part-time law enforcement officer. I run shifts usually from 6 p.m. to 3 a.m. a couple nights a week when it gets busy in the summer. In the wintertime, when all of the tourists leave central Wisconsin, then I don't have to work quite as much. But
I was wondering where you had time to do anything else.
Well, what else is there to do? I live in the woods. So I live in a very rural community, Iola, where we set up shop. I'm there because that's where my kids are and they're going to school. And Tim has been gracious enough to support the media team, the content team staff right up there. So 1,100 people in my little town. And we, like I said, now we're going to be home to quite a nice TV and photo studio, and we're moving forward ahead.
That's great.
Yeah.
But you have to provide content that's relevant from Florida to Alaska, from Maine to San Diego. Not only seasonal events, it's almost you and I can mock some of the gun magazines. You go, 4 months ago they prepared their hunting season issue.
Mhm.
USC, okay, we talk about a little bit about heavier weather, change of concealment.
Mhm.
Not a big issue down in Louisiana and Florida, Georgia. No,
Correct. We have to follow through on what everybody's doing. We do follow our demographics a little bit. People will be surprised to know that our biggest membership states are New York and California.
right.
Those are the places where people need the most information. They're the
Right.
most anti-gun states. But we have a very short turnaround time, and I do that with the staff to make sure that we're not waiting 6.5 months before we publish something in the magazine. We have a 45-day turnaround every time we publish the magazine. So we're trying to be as timely as we can, but we still are a magazine. We have our themes and our issues laid out for the next 16 months, what we want to get in the magazine. But if something pops up, if something changes, we're dropping stories out and we're getting that new thing in there as fast as we can.
And your writers are such that, hey, I need something. Give it to me tomorrow.
Yep.
They're pros. They can.
Yeah, I have a wonderful staff, and I call it a staff, but I have a wonderful stable of writers. 76 different people now want to write for Concealed Carry Magazine. We only have room for 12 every edition, so I'm in a really good place there. And they really want to be involved in what's going on because we don't pull any punches. We talk about the fact that you're going to be shooting a gun at somebody. The other gun magazines, well, the 4 cardinal safety rules, you keep your finger off the trigger and you never point a gun at anything you don't want to destroy. But when it comes time to fight, you're breaking all of those cardinal safety rules
In a big way.
to protect yourself. And we don't ignore that. We say things like, we're going to fight, we're going to shoot at people, we're going to stop the threat. So we don't, we're not pulling any punches. I don't want to be politically correct. And if people are mad at me, good, let them be mad at me.
It's not a firearm. It's a lethal weapon.
Yes, it's a weapon. And more importantly, if I really want to be politically correct, I will say that it is a piece of emergency life-saving equipment. That's what we have on our
That's a good way to put it.
As I was watching a policeman try and walk into a small restaurant, and I went, that's a lot of life-saving gear he's strapping these days. And I'm not talking about heavy iron. It's just, good God, you got everything but an emergency locator strapped around your
And
belt.
it's probably on there.
That's in there too. I missed it.
Kevin, you said you had 76 writers in your writer stable.
Yep.
Who are some of the people that write for you?
Well, Rich Grassi, who you probably know from the Tactical Wire. Dave Workman, who is wandering around here doing stuff like that. Scott Wagner was the director of the Counterterrorism Training Center in Columbus, Ohio for many years and a 30-year law enforcement officer. Beth Alcazar has just been amazing on the women's issues and women's side of concealed carry. She's been doing some wonderful things. I'm trying to rattle off people right off the top of my head. Mark Walters, he writes for us every week. And I often forget about him, but I really should. I'm actually his direct supervisor, so I have to make sure that...
He's going to be up on the podium. Payback could be bad.
Yeah, I know.
Kevin.
Well, he'll be sitting there with me at 3 o'clock, so he'll probably let me know. But, yeah, we have a great group of writers. Ed Combs is our associate editor, and he writes our Legally Armed Citizen column now. He's stepped into that, and he's truly blossomed. He's been a law enforcement officer and a school teacher, so he's on both sides of this issue. He's been all around, and he's doing a great job for us as well.
I haven't seen... I should have researched the articles. Have you been able to cover the school teachers that are now carrying in the classroom?
Yes, we're doing lots of different things like that. Actually, one of our standing room only seminars at the last Concealed Carry Expo was what happens with active shooters and how to deal with that. And actually, I just spoke with Chris Bird. He'll be writing for us on an upcoming teacher training issue with John Benner and the guys in Ohio from TDI.
And you have Jim Irvine here today to hear as well.
There's like I said, I track these guys down, and actually they come to me, but then I vet them out. I want to make sure that what goes in the magazine, that nobody gets to raise the red flag and say, you guys are talking crazy. Don't do this to us. And I want people to understand that we're talking about fighting, that the key word of gunfight is fight, not gun. You have to have that attitude.
The gun is the modifier, not the base subject.
And you have to have that attitude about you, and that's where we start with everything. That attitude that I am ready to defend myself. I don't want to. It's something I'm forced into doing, but I'm ready to do it when the time comes.
A lot of people have a very difficult time putting that attitude in their head. In fact, when they talk about, well, I'd like to get a gun, really, you see the trepidation, and they're going, really, I'm not comfortable with fighting to defend my life or that of my family. And you watch them put that on piece at a time. Teachers, since we're on that topic, have that in spades, and yet when they come on board, they come on board like a lion.
Yes, and then they finally understand. And one of the analogies that I make is we have armed guards in armored cars, but we continually say that the money is not worth fighting for. But we don't have armed guards at schools. So then why do we have armed guards in the armored cars? You know, that we know that bad things happen. We know that there's evil out there in the world, and occasionally, and very rarely, I don't want to get into the mainstream media idea that these things happen all the time. Very rarely somebody will come to a school, or somebody will go to a mall or something like that and engage in active murder. Very rarely that happens, but when it does, somebody needs to be there to do something about it. So I will talk to teachers all the time, and do you really care about your kids? Oh, yes, I do. Well, then why wouldn't you want to defend them? Well, that's not the place for me to do it. Whose job is it?
Well, now, to our credit, the last time we had a child killed in a fire in school has been 50 years or so. They are injured with violent events at school, often hand-to-hand, or somebody grabs a bat, or some. So children are subject to violent injury in school. Thank goodness that the number of shootings is as small as it is.
Yes, and you'll be seeing plenty of coverage in upcoming editions of Concealed Carry Magazine about the school issue and about what people can do and what families can do to talk to their children. My kids went to a grade school that didn't have any doors. It was an open concept grade school. And the teachers were talking about the lockdown and what would happen if somebody came to the school. And I told my kids, don't listen to your teachers. If you hear gunshots, exit the building and run across the football field to the woods behind the school. And, well, what if the teachers tell me not? Don't listen to the teachers. Someone's in your building shooting. You want to be out of the building. And people will laugh. Oh, yeah, it's Michalowski's kids. They know all about guns. They know all about that kind of stuff. But those are the kind of discussions that everybody should have with their kids.
Isn't it? Well, okay, so what we're promoting is the culture that will bring it up and bring that into the Parent-Teacher Association meeting someday.
Yep.
Really hard to do when you're the only one.
Yes.
And now it's changing.
Yeah,
They're not the only one.
And we need to change that incrementally. It's going to take time, because everybody thinks about guns are dangerous, or they think about the bad things that happen with firearms. And the good things, nobody thinks about the good things that happen with firearms, about the lives that are saved by people who have guns. And I'm very careful in my wording of that. I don't want to say that the lives are saved by guns. They're not. They're saved by the actions of good people carrying a gun.
Well,
and the gun it doesn't. I will quote George Harris from 6 Hour Academy. The gun is not going to jump out of the holster and start barking bullets by itself. So it's the actions of good people with guns, and people are ignoring that. They're just looking at the actions of bad people with guns, and they're saying it's gun damage, and that's not it. It's guns save lives. We see the stickers all over the place here. Good people with guns save lives.
Well, compare your daytime hat with your nighttime hat.
Yeah.
The first person they call when they have a problem is a guy with a gun.
Yeah.
And I've had so many law enforcement friends go, I was there too late. Just enough. They have to, well, a lot like Dr. John and Dean here at the end of the row, you got to keep them from bleeding out until you get them to me. Yeah,
that's exactly it. And especially in the places where I work, we're in a very rural county. So I work in a very rural county, and a couple years ago we had an officer who was in a physical altercation for 11 and a half minutes before we could get there to help him. And think about what can go wrong in 11 and a half minutes.
11 and a half minutes is a lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Kevin Michalowski, USCCA, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Great.
All right, it looks like we are going to be going back in just a minute or two. So we're going to get ready here. Rob, what'd you think of the first part of the program today?
It was fascinating to hear the state organizations talk about lobbying. Okay, yeah, lobbying, he was absolutely right, is a dirty word. But watch how it's being used. Most lobbyists are in the state looking for a handout or a special deal. We're asking to be left alone. And it doesn't cost the state a cent But watch the politics at play here. Politicians who pretend to represent us might be elected by 20% of the voters. On the other hand, 1 out of every 3 homes has a firearm. So it's actually the firearms and self-defense lobbyist who's doing something in the public interest. The politician is more likely representing a narrow, specialized interest, not the other way around.
Absolutely.